Assalamu alaikum everyone. How are you all? I hope you all are keeping yourselves safe and healthy in these days. And you all must be enjoying your virtual classes too. Today is our fifth online class of science. In the last four classes, we have already discussed in detail the lesson changing materials. So what are we going to do in this class? In this class, we are going to recap, revise and summarize each and every detail of the lesson changing materials. So let's begin. The name of the lesson is changing materials. What do we mean by changing material? Materials change when they are heated or cooled. They also change their shapes when they are handled in different ways. So what are those different ways? Here we are going to discuss all those ways in detail. Materials change when they are heated or cooled. For example, ice cubes and baked cookies. So what happens to the ice cubes? When we cool down water in fridge or freezer, or you may say we maintain a certain temperature for it, it changes into or it turns into ice cubes. And when the ingredient of cookies are mixed and heated in an oven, we get baked cookies, yummy baked cookies. Shape of materials change by different ways. What are those ways? We are going to list them here. Number one, by applying force. Number two, by heating. And number three, by cooling. So here we are going to discuss what is a force or how do we apply force on the materials to change their shape. Number one, bending. Number two, twisting. Number three, squashing. And number four, stretching. So these are four different ways through which we apply force on the materials to change their shape. And now we are going to have a look what is the way to apply these forces. Here comes bending. You can see a straight rod first, and then what happens? It's bent. We have applied force on it from the sides of it, and it's bent now. Number two is twisting. You may try it with a piece of cloth or with a piece of string or a wire. How do we twist the objects? You can see it in the picture as well. Then comes stretching. What object can we use for stretching? You can easily try it with a daily life material, that is a rubber band. If you stretch a rubber band, you can easily see this change will be appearing there. And then comes squashing. So what is squashing? You can see to apply a force in a way that the thing looks to be smashed, but actually it's not broken, it's only squashed. So here comes the other way of changing the material, that is heating and cooling. Now here we are going to discuss what is heating, and then we are going to discuss what is cooling. The definition of heating is when you increase the temperature of something like baking cookies, baking a cake, or cooling is when you lower the temperature or freeze any material, such as ice cubes. Now you also think of some material getting heated and some material that is cooled down in your daily lives. Now in the next slide, we are going to discuss about reversible and irreversible changes. Heating and cooling can cause changes we can see. Sometimes these changes are reversible and sometimes they are not. And the changes which are not reversible, we call them irreversible. And now we are going to discuss the definition of reversible and irreversible changes. On your screens, you may see what are reversible changes? Reversible means the change caused by heating or cooling can be undone. Once the thing is changed, it may change back into its previous state if you give it a certain temperature. One example of it is melted butter. Then comes the irreversible changes. Irreversible means the change from heating or cooling cannot be undone. Once it's done, it cannot be undone. One example of this is when you fry an egg. If you give it a certain cold temperature or you keep it in a cool place, even then you are not going to get it back into its previous state. Now, we are going to listen to a song related to reversible and irreversible changes.
If you put some clay into a kiln that's very hot, it can turn into a brick or a flower pot. Look at the materials that you see around. Do they change when you heat them up or cool them down? Put some water in a freezer till it's very cold, and it will turn into a lump of ice that you can hold. Look at the materials that you see around. Do they change when you heat them up or cool them down? Leave the ice on the shelf and in a while you get a pool of melted water that is very wet. If every piece of chocolate and butter that you've got is way too hard, then warm it up till it's very soft. Look at the materials that you see around. Do they change when you heat them up or cool them down? You can make molten glass by heating up some sand, but be careful not to touch it or you'll burn your hand. Look at the materials that you see around. Do they change when you heat them up or cool them down? Look at the materials that you see around. Do they change when you heat them up or cool them down?
So children, I hope you all have enjoyed the song in which you have seen and what the materials which are your daily life examples. You must have seen chocolate, butter, and ice cubes, which you have already seen in your daily lives as well. So you can try them at home. Now we are going to discuss about dissolving materials. Some substances dissolve in water when you mix them together, and it looks like it has disappeared, but it has just mixed with the water to make a solution. Now, we are going to listen to a song about dissolving of the objects.
I like to dissolve things just like scientists like to solve things. And I'm using H2O, that's just water, don't you know?
Mama said never eat too much sugar. Mama said nobody really should. But I said I like to eat sweet sugar 'cause it tastes really, really very, very, very good. So I hid all the sugar where it couldn't be found, not up in the air and not down on the ground. Each day I drank sugar and nobody knew. Someone stole the sugar, but they didn't know who. And each day I drank from a clear glass jar. It looked like water, but was better by far. It tasted so sweet, and no one ever solved. A clear bottle liquid had sugar dissolved.
Sugar dissolved, sugar dissolved. A clear glass bottle had sugar dissolved. I like to dissolve things just like scientists like to solve things. And I'm using H2O, gaseous water, don't you know?
I saw Dad shaking some salt on his food, and it drove Mama straight to a pretty bad mood. She said, too much salt is bad for your health, and your health is important. It's your body's greatest wealth. Mama asked me to hide the salt from Dad, and I had an idea, and it made my mama glad. I poured all the salt in a bucket of water, watched it dissolve like I know salt really oughta. Dad looked for the salt, but the salt he couldn't find, so we ate without his salt, and his food still tasted fine. Now when Mama needs the salt just like a pinch, she'll tell me in advance, and getting salt is such a cinch. I let the water evaporate, and what's left is the salt. For my mom it's really great, and Dad never knows the salt is still around, dissolved in the bucket where it's never really found.
Salt dissolved, salt dissolved. My bucket of water had salt dissolved. I like to dissolve things just like scientists like to solve things. And I'm using H2O, gaseous water, don't you know?
When solids like salt or sugar dissolve in a liquid, such as water, they create a new substance known as a solution. Once the salt or sugar is dissolved, it can be very hard to tell there's salt or sugar in the water at all. Everything is now part of the liquid. When solids dissolve in water, tiny parts of them known as molecules mix together with the molecules that make up the water. Can you say molecule?
Molecule, 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 molecule. I like to dissolve things just like scientists like to solve things. And I'm using H2O, gaseous water, don't you know? I like to dissolve things just like scientists like to solve things. And I'm using H2O, gaseous water, don't you know?
So children, did you learn how to dissolve materials? I know you must have learned it through the video as well and through the definitions that I've told you. You can easily make a salt and a sugar solution at home and try it with your mummies as well. Now we are going to discuss natural or man-made materials. A material could be of two types. It could be natural or it could be man-made. So here we are going to discuss what are natural materials and what are man-made materials. Any material that comes from plants, animals, or the ground is called natural material. And man-made materials are those materials that are made by men. And now we are going to discuss a few examples of natural and man-made materials. So the things that we know are natural materials are wood, through which we can make furniture, chairs, tables, or you may say beds, while we have leather as a natural material through which we can make our shoes. Our bags are sometimes made of leather as well. And in man-made material, we can have the example of nylon or plastic. Nylon is something that makes the strings or wires which we use for hanging our clothes. And plastic is used for making bottles, bowls, or anything around. Like bags sometimes are also suitcases, spoons, disposable spoons. So all these things are natural. The things or materials may be natural or they may be man-made. But now we know the difference between the two. So I hope you all have revised and summarized all the topics of changing materials in your mind. So we are going to meet in the next class. Till then, stay safe, stay home. Allah Hafiz.